Welcome back to Out and Into Open Arms, the podcast about youth who are coming out. I'm Jess Goff.
And I'm Mark Belanger. So Jess, what's been going on with you?
So I think you'll like this story. I'm giving a presentation earlier this week, and this woman says to me, "Pronouns are too hard. I've just stopped trying."
Not the first time you've heard something like that, I'd bet.
Yep, and let's be honest, it can be hard to get pronouns right all the time.
It takes effort. It takes practice. Literally everybody screws it up from time to time.
You know, I often meet people, and I can tell right away that they're good people who really are making an effort. And maybe they make a pronoun mistake, and then they immediately trip over into this defensive routine.
Trying to convince you that they really are good people?
Exactly. I mean, I may barely know this person, but all of a sudden, I'm hearing all about their gay cousin and how cool they are with it.
I'm hearing from you, we really don't need to be quite so hard on ourselves.
Yep. Give yourself some grace. You don't need to be defensive. We'll learn more about that in this episode. What to do if you do make a mistake. And we'll also talk about two more big issues: bathrooms and healthcare services.
I think we can say, Jess, that to people outside the community, it's almost impossible to understand just how important these issues are inside the community.
That's a fair point. We've got a lot to talk about, so let's get going. Pronouns, small words, big impact. In fact, these are words that evoke deep emotions for everyone, especially for trans and non-binary kids. Nevertheless, people get them wrong all the time, and when that happens, kids, like Mary's son Peter, have to decide how to respond.
First, I would say, "Oh no, it's fine, I mess up too."
Peter came up with a different strategy for situations where people made the same mistake over and over again.
If they called me by my wrong pronouns or my wrong name, I just ignored them until they got it right.
He'd really draw it out, make a little bit of a game out of it. So let's say someone wanted help with something, but kept using the wrong name or pronouns.
Crickets. Can you help me out? Crickets.
Okay, so as Peter tells the story, he just lets those crickets get louder and louder until there's an entire cricket rock band. He's giving the person plenty of time to realize their mistake. And then, only if absolutely necessary, he'll whisper a hint under his breath. Peter says it's pretty easy for him to tell the difference between an honest mistake and someone who is deliberately being hurtful. Still, it's impressive he can approach it with humor and, crickets. Like all of us, Peter has a deep desire to be seen. And this is his heartfelt request.
Just try. Trying means a lot. My grandfather didn't try, and that hurt. Just try.
Just try. Small words, big impact. Like Peter, Izzy has also had to make choices about what to do when people use the wrong pronouns.
Sometimes I leave it and sometimes I correct them. But then if it's like a kid who's being mean, if I'm by myself, I might just walk away. But if I'm with someone else I know really well, I might say something, or they might say something.
Support from their friends means a lot to Izzy, who will long remember a day where there was a substitute teacher.
She misgendered me and one of my friends corrected her. They said they're not a boy, I think.
So, the substitute teacher switched from he/him pronouns to using she/her pronouns.
And then the same friend was like, they're not a girl. So then they were like, what are they? And then I guess they thought I was pranking them or something.
That's a cute story. And the substitute teacher did her best to use the right pronouns once she knew. Meanwhile, at karate, Michelle and Gemma ran into a pronoun challenge of their own. Right after Gemma came out, some of the staff quickly picked up on some changes in the way Gemma was behaving.
One of the teachers at the karate place I go to, they told my mom that I seemed more energetic and confident, which was after we went through my wardrobe. And before that, she described me as being keeping to myself, being quiet.
But one teacher had trouble adapting.
She messed up my pronouns every once in a while.
Michelle proceeded carefully.
She really was trying. So I did not want to go full, like, Mama Pitbull on her, right? So
Her strategy was just to give the instructor a chance to correct herself.
wait, which kid are you talking about?
And at school, Gemma has learned to just explain things in plain terms when people get her pronouns wrong.
That doesn't happen too often, but there's a few people before me who knew me in kindergarten, which was before I transitioned. They often would say, like, I thought you were a boy, and I would say I was tomboyish, meaning I acted like a boy. And then I'd say that my pronouns are she, her. And normally, I think all of the time, they've just kind of said, like, okay, and then just kind of walked away, not really questioning it at all.
It can be trickier and more frustrating when people don't try or don't want to try. Here's Jordan's mom, Karen.
You know, your child grew up with this name and now they're using a different name. You know, people have said, do you have a problem with that? And I'm like, no, and that's why you shouldn't either.
Karen offers an analogy.
If you give someone a gift and they use it in a way that you didn't expect, do you take it back? Well, a name's a gift. And I feel like you can do with it what you want. It's not my life. I don't have to carry it with me out into the world.
Karen points out that in other contexts, people accept name changes without a single thought.
I got married. I changed my name. People don't call me my old name anymore.
And, she points out, young people, such as her younger child, seem to be able to adapt without much difficulty. To them,
Why wouldn't you use the right name or pronouns? Like, that's rude.
and here is Karen's bottom line.
Call someone what they want to be called, because really, what's the harm in that?
What's going to stick with you from that segment, Mark?
Just try. My grandpa didn't try, and that hurt.
Powerful words.
Also, it's so clear from what we just heard that nobody's expecting perfection when it comes to pronouns. It really is hard. We use pronouns intuitively. We've been using pronouns in a certain way all of our lives.
And you know what, Mark? It's my job to talk about this every day, and I still mess up sometimes. And when I do, I just say, oops, them. In other words, I just acknowledge the mistake, correct it, and move on. And in the rare case that someone corrects me before I catch my own mistake, I say, thanks so much for telling me.
Also, Karen and her younger son's point of view about pronouns and names seems so valid to me. Why wouldn't you want to call someone by the name they prefer? We do it all the time in other contexts. Many students take on a nickname when they go to camp or college. Married people change their names. It's not unusual, and we all just adjust.
You're right, Mark. To some people, pronouns can feel harder than names, but it's the same principle. Why wouldn't you want to use the pronouns that make someone feel seen and respected?
It matters so much to these kids. I remember Izzy's words. My stomach hurts when people call me he or him.
And there's data here, Mark. When youth have their pronouns respected, we see suicide risk drop by 50%.
50%. That's 50%. That is a phenomenal number. Well, folks, it's time to go to the bathroom. Something that is a biological necessity for every human being, and yet so complicated in our society. We'll start with Mary and Peter.
Bathrooms are a huge worry. He definitely wants to use the men's restroom, and I'm fine with that, but I'm also worried that other people aren't fine with that.
The school nurse emerged as an ally and offered this to Peter.
You can use my bathroom anytime you want. It's a non-binary bathroom.
But Peter wanted to be like the other boys, so one day he used the boys' bathroom.
We were told to go to the bathroom before we went, and the girls' bathroom was completely crowded. And I'm like, wait, I'm non-binary. I can use whatever bathroom I want. So I just went to the boys' bathroom.
But someone on the staff scolded him.
Don't use the bathroom. It will make the boys uncomfortable.
Peter wasn't too happy about it.
It's my body. It's what I prefer. It's what makes me comfortable. So I should do what makes me feel comfortable.
A bit later, With some encouragement from his friends, Peter did it again, this time in a different boys' bathroom. Peter rationalized that he'd only been told not to use one particular boys' bathroom.
I was nervous, but eventually I did it, and I felt really happy.
Another day, Peter was with his mom shopping. He went and used the boys' bathroom. And on the way out, he was quite surprised to see the same adult who'd scolded him at school.
Yeah, she just happened to be there, and she looked at me, and I looked at her, and I put my head up and walked away. I was very proud of myself.
From Peter's perspective, the conflict about which bathroom to use seems entirely unnecessary.
I don't understand why they assign bathrooms. Like, you're all going to use the bathroom. Like, there's already stalls in the boys' bathroom, and there are bathrooms meant for boys and girls, which have both urinals and toilets. So why not make all bathrooms like that?
Peter cares enough about the issue that he did a bit of advocacy work.
I actually texted the governor. I emailed her saying, we need to fix this bathroom problem. I really think that this problem needs to be solved. Because, like I said, people harm themselves because of this. She never emailed me back.
Karen's son, Jordan, also faces challenges. He started hormone therapy, and that has made the situation even more complicated.
See, I am at a point where I'm too masculine to go into the women's bathroom without someone being like, oh my God, there's a boy in the bathroom. Despite legislation being like, go in the bathroom where you assign your gender. No, people would freak out if I did that and be like, there's a guy in the bathroom.
So now, on top of everything else, Jordan is trying not to make women uncomfortable in the women's room while dealing with his own fears of the men's room.
Trying to get myself to feel like safer in the men's bathroom, I know, or changing room, I know it's scary for me, but it's something I have to learn to like just feel braver and more confident in myself.
Understandably, Jordan prefers all gender bathrooms.
I really appreciate it when facilities have like a general family bathroom or like bathrooms that don't have gender assigned to them.
He hopes that all gender bathrooms will become the norm. But
people are always making the excuse, well, there's going to be creeps and stuff if we didn't put gender labels. But no, it's the bathroom. It should be used for the bathroom, and that's a whole different problem.
It's just a bathroom. Most of all, Jordan wishes people would just relax.
Most people don't care what bathroom you're using. It's the bathroom. Go to the bathroom.
What are you thinking, Jess?
I'm admiring Peter's bravery, holding his head high.
I agree. It's brave. And I think there may be a small part of him that is enjoying the role of mischief maker.
Maybe. And it can be both, brave and mischievous. This isn't him trying to make trouble just for the sake of it. He's determined. This is who he is, and he's advocating.
I'm thinking about the Boston Tea Party here. Brave, mischievous, and revolutionary, but with toilets instead of tea and molasses.
That's funny. I love it.
You know, the kids are right. Wouldn't it be great if it could just be called, the bathroom? Each with toilets and stalls?
I know, right? Who came up with segregated plumbing in the first place? They set us up for all kinds of problems.
They sure did. But in all seriousness, the kids are just caught in it. I really felt for Jordan in this section.
Me too. All of that stress. And the only thing this kid wants to do is pee. So, we've discussed several challenges for LGBTQ+ kids, and we have one more to go. Accessing healthcare. This community has healthcare needs, and we'll start with mental health. Jordan's mom, Karen, saw the need and sought professional help soon after Jordan came out as non-binary.
The first thing I did was find a therapist, a gender-affirming therapist. It can't hurt. And perhaps this person has some perspective and experience that I certainly don't. I want my kid to be supported.
She did so, in part, because she knew that Jordan faced risk.
trans kids, LGBTQ kids in general, are more likely to have anxiety. They're more likely to be picked on at school. They're more likely to possibly self-harm.
Jordan valued the connection.
I feel like she's seen me through a lot of my stages in life, how I've identified and the names I've gone by. And she doesn't judge me for that. So she's just trying to help me discover who I am. So it feels very reassuring.
Izzy also works with a therapist. Here's how they describe that experience.
It's mostly like venting, I guess.
Yes, an opportunity to unload, but more than that.
So like having a normal conversation about these things with someone else who gets it and can also give advice.
It's taken the family some time and resources to find the right therapist for Izzy, but it has been important. There have been some rough periods, especially as the political environment has shifted.
It was very important to them that the therapist be non-binary. Unfortunately, they're out of our health network, but so be it. That's what there's nothing more important than Izzy making a connection with someone they feel they can talk to. I think we feel fortunate for that, and otherwise, I don't know. It's a tough moment.
Mary's son, Peter, also goes to a therapist to address his thoughts of self-harm. Mary's response is measured.
Because you don't want to react, at least I feel, I don't want to react too strongly and shut him down and shut him off. So I think one of the things that we've done to try and support him and keep him safe is he has a therapist that he meets with every week, who he loves, which is fantastic. And she's been such an incredible resource.
As important as therapy is, therapists aren't always accessible. One resource that folks should be aware of is the Trevor Project, a 24/7 hotline, text line, and chat line that youth and families can access. Find out more about Trevor Project in our show notes. It's also important for kids to be able to talk openly with their parents and other supportive adults. Mary knows she has to be ready at any moment. Peter often does what therapists call doorknob confessions, sharing something really important just when it's time to end the conversation.
Everything comes out before bedtime, like right before sleep, because you don't really want to go to sleep, so that's when everything drops.
Mary tries to encourage Peter to talk more.
A lot of it has been just getting a temperature from him, like, where are you at? And then really telling him how brave it is to tell us when things are going on. That's not an easy thing to do. He is very verbose, and so very open about talking to me about things, which has been absolutely wonderful. So a lot of it is, asking a lot of probing questions.
Part of Mary's approach is acknowledging her own blind spots.
I've been honest with him. I said, I'm not trans. I don't know what that experience is like. So I'm probably going to ask questions that seem really weird to you or seem like duh, but I don't know because that's not my experience. So tell me what it's like. And trying to validate his feelings as much as possible and not just sweep them under the rug.
She also tries to avoid falling back on a strategy that worked when her kids were younger, just distracting them.
Oh, you're hurt. Why don't we go watch this funny video?
Instead, she tries to engage.
Okay, when you're ready, let's talk about some strategies that might help you when you're feeling that again, because you probably will.
As kids get older, additional healthcare needs may arise. Some youth will seek additional gender-affirming treatments, like medications, and sometimes surgeries in later teen and young adult years. In his early teen years, Jordan started talking to his therapist about going on hormones, and then decided that's what he wanted to do. It didn't happen overnight.
You have to do numerous Zoom calls, like a lot of appointments. You got to get your blood tested to see if you can be on it in the first place. We had to schedule meetings with endocrinologists. We had to go over paperwork with my therapist.
You have to align all these planets to get it to work. All the adults in the situation, therapist, doctor, doctors, plural, both parents, everyone has to be in complete agreement that this is the best way forward. And the kid, too.
So it took a year to finally get on it.
When Jordan started taking testosterone, he'd get excited when he noticed any change. Say, a hint of facial hair.
He'll come to me and be like, Mom, did you notice anything different about me today?
At first, Karen didn't want to make too big a deal about it.
But in retrospect, I'm like, maybe we should have taken him to dinner or something. Because it does seem a little celebratory.
Soon, Jordan's voice started to deepen. To Karen, however, the bigger changes were on the inside.
I would say the biggest change has been just like a peace has settled over my child that was not there before. And I think now my child has that, where they're like, this is who I am. The outside matches the inside. This is how I feel good about myself. It's like, oh, now I can focus on these other parts of my life because this feels right.
Here's how Jordan put it.
I've noticed I've been happier, much happier than I used to be. And I feel like I didn't notice how much dysphoria I had until I started TB. It just really helped me feel more myself and more happier in my own body. Noticing like the little things like, oh, more facial hair, more the deeper voice, it made me happier.
It may have taken a long year of work to get started on testosterone, but Jordan feels like the process was appropriate.
I think it was very cautious. I know that there can be some reasons why you might not want someone to go on hormones because they could have a health condition. So I think what they did was very important, just doing like checkups and blood tests. I think they did a very good job about that, in my personal opinion. I feel like I'd be more concerned if they weren't asking me about my own health in the first place, because it is a medication that changes your physical appearance and the balance of your hormones in your body. It is overall worth it.
And Karen admires him for taking such a big step.
It takes so much courage to do that when you know that the people in your life may or may not accept those changes in you.
What did you notice, Mark?
A lot of humility on the part of the parents, and in a good way. These parents recognize that their kids are having experiences that were not a part of their own childhoods, that they face risks, and that they need support.
I agree. As we've talked about in previous episodes, anxiety, self-harm, and suicidal thoughts are all more prevalent for these youth due to the discrimination and harm that they face. But having just one supportive adult reduces this risk by 40%.
Wow, 40%. That's huge.
It is, and a therapist can be one of those supportive adults.
Okay, so let's also talk about Jordan's experience. Gender-affirming care for minors is an extremely divisive political issue, and as a result, there's a lot of misinformation out there. I hope that every listener noticed that there was nothing the least bit hasty about the process that Jordan went through. There was lengthy consideration, with professional support, weighing all the benefits and risks.
That's right. There was a full year of careful steps before starting any medication, long after Jordan had come out as trans. And everyone had to be on board. Jordan, his parents, and multiple medical professionals.
I'll also note that Jordan feels much better. In his own words, he feels more like himself and happier in his own body.
Gender dysphoria is hard for many to imagine. But listeners, please, it's worth trying. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing, not you. Imagine the distress that you would feel. Imagine how it would hit you. And if you can imagine that, even a little bit, try adding on top of it the onset of puberty. Imagine looking in the mirror each and every day and seeing a reflection each and every day that looks less and less like you. This is why interventions like puberty blockers and then sometimes hormones can be so critical in this process for some trans youth.
Thank you, Jess, for explaining this distress so clearly.
You're very welcome.
So, Jess, I think we just have one episode to go.
Yep, and it's a good one. You'll hear parting shots, final words of wisdom, reasons for hope and optimism from the true stars of this show, the parents and their amazing kids.
This podcast has been brought to you by New Hampshire Outright. Please check the show notes for additional resources. Special thanks to our hosts, Jessica Goff and Mark Belanger. Our editorial and project management team also included Brady Berry and Amy Rock. Script development, audio production, and additional music composition by Chris Trimble and Treehouse Audio Productions.